You talked a lot about the cultural norms that we have been used to, and we say, "Oh, I turned out fine,"
Yeah, I hate that term because half the time the person telling you trash.
Yeah.
Like I turned out fine. I randomly attack people online, and I haven't been in a good relationship since the 1900s, but I'm fine. And it's just like, right. I can see that. You screaming at me right now. It's totally normal.
Because you said you do not scream at your children, you do not yell at your children, you do not cuss at your children,
No.
You do not hit your children.
No. Well, and I try really hard not to raise my voice. I definitely raised my voice this week. But in my defense, they lost their minds. And honestly, I work on it every single day because I also apologize to my children. So it's even more. It's more annoying to me when I raise my voice because I'm like, now I gotta apologize. Because that's not the kind of family we are.
Carly is so good. My sister's so good at apologizing.
Yeah, because I want them to understand that everyone makes mistakes. So when we get into this realm of, and this is also like with therapy and psychology, you have people who will be like, they're perfectionists or they just really struggle with like attachment and stuff like that. And perfectionism is just anxiety. Like it's just a fear. And when you get to the root of it, that's the only way that you can break it down. You kind of got to get to the fears. Like, oh, I want this assignment to be perfect. Oh, why? Oh, because I want to do a good job. Oh, okay. Good job and perfect aren't the same, but continue. Like, what happens if it's not perfect? Well, then maybe you'll say somebody will say something negative. Okay, whatever. And then what does that mean? Well, then maybe they'll think I don't belong here. Belong at the job. It's like, oh yeah. And a lot of times with Black people, it's like, yeah, I'm like the only Black person. Oh, okay. So your fear is like the age-old stereotype that like somebody just gave you this job and stuff like that. That's why you think it has to be perfect. So it's not actually like you want it to be good. You just don't want anyone to think that you don't deserve to be there. That's the root, right? And if you don't address the stereotypes that contribute to that thought, it doesn't matter if it's perfect. And also perfection is not humanity, right? Like it's another way of dehumanizing Black people. So if we operate in a world where children, especially Black children, understand that everybody makes mistakes, even grown-ups, and no one has the right to like treat you poorly. Like I want them to be so steeped in like accountability and compassion that anytime they go into an environment where it's not that, their signal goes off, right? Because that's all we're doing is like we're building their little like alarm system. So if they're in a system where people raise their voice, they like, oh, my mom don't talk to me like this. You must have lost your mind.
Yeah.
No, I can't. I'm not going to take this job. Or where people aren't accountable for their actions. Like, what you mean you don't have to apologize just because you the boss? No, that's my mom apologized to me. You're just building their little alarm systems. And also raising your voice, it just seems unnecessary. It just seems unnecessary. And this is from like East Coaster. I'm a very aggressive person. And like even with me, like I'm a loud person anyway. Like my husband is from down south and he's like very at one point I think he was just like, you always this loud? I sure am. What? But like it's just not necessary. It also freaks them out.
Yeah, it does.
They get scared, and like that's the last thing I want. And they start to shrink, and they have less of their voice. And once again, like we need to build their alarm system, and especially when it comes to Black youth, they have to get used to being able to advocate for themselves because Black youth get challenged and pushed and treated differently than anybody else. Yeah. And I want them to understand that like nobody has the right to treat you wrong. Like a lot of times Black parents will do this operation of like, the world is tough, so I'm going to be tougher.
Yeah.
And I always say like, oh, the world is tough, so I'm going to be a safe space to land for my children. Because if it's one thing that every Black person can agree, it's the fact that we don't get treated the way that we should be treated.
Yeah.
So why would we mirror that in our homes? Like, so it's just, it's a lot of us were parented out of obedience. And I parent out of respect, right? Like obedience builds relationship. Obedience builds resentment. It's compliance, Respect builds relationships. But it's exhausting. You raise a child and you let them know that their voice matters. You never gonna not hear that voice.
Oh, baby.
You always gonna hear that voice.
Yeah, I see that with my nephew.
My God. I'll be like,
he has a voice and baby, he gonna use it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like and it's easier, right? Like it's not difficult to make children like comply. It's not difficult to make children fear you. It's not really hard. We're bigger than them. They depend on us for everything. Wow. Really, people will be like the whole, I don't know if they call it gentle parenting. I just treat my children like humans. But they'll be like, that's weak. But it's just like, well, no. You think it's weak to be hearing questions 27,000 times a day? Or you think it's weaker to like as soon as you get frustrated tell your child to shut up and pop them. Like, it's more so your regulation, right? Children are supposed to be inquisitive. They're supposed to ask questions. They're supposed to be annoying. It just is. You know, they're amazing, but they're also irritating. That's just life. You know, children are annoying. People are annoying. I'm sure I annoy my husband. He better not ever tell me. I'm sure I annoy him. Like, people are just, that's what it's like being in community with other people. Like, you have to have some kind of frustration tolerance. But like, the goal of parenting is like, you regulate yourself and then you co-regulate your child. People are hitting their children because their children are loud and you can't take a breath and calm down with them. So you pop them and then you just end up being fearful of them. But ultimately it's because you probably had a bad day. That's a you thing. Or your child is like selfish. Children are egocentric. Like, what else are they going to be? Or they won't stop hitting their siblings. So you hit them. You know, like every time I'll be like, just to confirm. They were hitting someone else, correct? Yes. So you hit them and said, don't hit. Right.
When you say it out loud, right? When you say it out loud.
Right, yeah. Right. Yes. So we will have to look into delusions for you because that's just absurd, man. I'll be like, right. And you're mad because they're too loud. Right. And you screamed at them to be quiet. Correct. Cool. It's totally reasonable. I can't imagine they're modeling your behavior. It's just absurd. So
it really is.
But it does take more. Like I told people it is easier to pop them and stuff like that. But I really want my children to have like a voice and to understand that they can advocate for themselves. And we're going to be their most salient relationship. So if they can go toe to toe with me, and not rudely, but like asking questions, then they can do that with anyone because we're not going to be with them. Like, so I really think we need to think about, it's parenting out of respect. And that's how we end up being in community with each other too. So like, people get parented, they can't express themselves, they hold it all in. It starts from childhood. That's why some of us have issues in the first place. But no, it's exhausting. They don't stop talking. It's crazy. Like, they question stuff that I would never. Like, one time we were at a store and my son was like, oh, do they have cars here? And I'm like, oh, I don't think they have cars here. And he's like, oh, okay. I'm going to ask the person who works here if they have cars here. And I'm like, oh, okay, you're right. I don't work here. But let me tell you something. If my grandma had told me they had no cars there, that's it.
That's the final stop.
Right? Versus me being like, yeah, that's a good point. I don't work here. Yeah. And we should all get their boys. We should all get young men. I don't want to, generalize. But sometimes people have difficulty asking for directions or asking for help. I also want them to get used to being able to ask for help and it not being like the end of the world. Because our thing is like, if you don't have a question, if you don't know the answer to something, ask. Instead of just like making a mistake. We got a bunch of stuff in the house. If you don't know the answer to some question, ask. We always have to ask questions. You have to try first. And you can't always win, but you can always have fun. So like, everything's a choice, right? Like, some things I always say like, stop giving me answers when I didn't ask you a question. Like, if I just told you to do something and it's just like, oh, well, I was thinking, oh, I didn't ask you a question. I said you needed to pick that up. Like,
I was given a direct.
Did that seem like I had a question mark? No, cool, just do it, right? But some things will be choices, right? So it's like, everything is you may not want to go. We're still going, but you can choose to have fun or you could choose to be grumpy. But either way, I need you in the car in 5 minutes.
If that blessed you, trust me, you've only scratched the surface. There's so much more wisdom, truth, and transformation waiting in the full conversation. Click the link in the caption below to watch the entire interview. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss an episode of Vault Empowers Talks.